it's great storytelling. And so I'm just a fan of the Marvel universe, and I would love to be a part of the Marvel universe. So that's definitely, yes, I am.
Welcome to WatchMojo's Poppin the Culture, your weekly entertainment stop. And me, well, I'm your host with the most hours spent in front of the mirror. That's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. As always, we got such a fun show coming your way. I'll be speaking with actress Karen Obilom. She's in such shows as Doom Patrol, Games People's Play, and she spills the beans on the upcoming House Party reboot. That's right. But first, let's jump into those Hollywood headlines. All right, if you don't know by now, this is the part of the show where we like to dig deep into the Hollywood headlines and dissect some of the more interesting developments out there in La La Land. And of course, I need help doing it. And look who I've recruited today. Why, it's Josh McLean. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me. What's new?
I'm doing great. Not a whole heck of a lot new. People might be saying, hey, I kind of recognize that guy's voice. You do some voiceover stuff on the Mojo Plays channel, and we also seen you pop up in some of the shorts on the core channel. Didn't you do one where you read some like mean comments?
Yes, I did, and yeah. I got quite the feedback from it, but it was all very productive, and I'm looking forward to doing more if people will have me, but we'll see what the feedback is.
Okay. Yeah, leave your comments on this video too. Maybe Josh will talk about it on a future episode. Okay, so let's get into the news because, listen, everybody and their mother is talking about a certain movie that just premiered not too long ago called Eternals. Eternals. Now, Josh, you may not be aware, but the past couple of weeks on this program, I've not been shy about voicing my opinion that there wasn't a lot of hype around this. I don't know if I really cared. Mm-hmm. Here's an update for those that followed it. I saw it, and I didn't mind it. But some other people did mind it. It's very divisive, I think is the word. But how did it do? Well, it did pretty good at the box office. We're talking 71 million plus for its opening weekend. It's good enough to make it the fourth highest grossing opening weekend during the COVID era, that is. And the movie itself, I mean, it introduced a whole heck of a lot of new characters and storylines. So I'll just set the numbers here. There was 10 new characters in the movie, and then the end credits gave us 4 new ones, but they were some pretty heavy hitters. Okay, so before we get into kind of the nitty gritty, give me your thoughts on Eternals.
Well, it's a movie that's going to put you into one of a couple camps, and I'm in the camp that was pretty impressed with it. I thought the lore building was really fun. They took this wacky plot line about all these weird characters and made it like digestible and character focused. I thought the casting was great and felt really natural. It got me to care about like the 10 new characters that you talked about, whereas like, I don't know, the Avengers had maybe 5 or 6. So yeah, taking on that many in that amount of time. I know a lot of people felt like it dragged on, but I was really enthralled with it, and I just thought some of the plot lines were really satisfying how they played out.
Yeah, no, I was surprised, and I think what it is it's just different than what we might have expected going into Marvel, right? Because they kind of, well, they followed the same formula. They changed it up a little bit. This was kind of completely different. I thought it looked great too. The director did Nomadland. She did some really wonderful visual stuff. Okay, so we talk about those 10 new characters, but let's talk about some of the people that showed up in the end credit and mid credit scenes. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, just, I don't know, fast forward a good 5 minutes and you'll miss all this. But if you did, or if you want to know, here's where we're going to talk about it. There were some squeals in my audience. I'm not joking. Girls and maybe some guys were squealing in their seats because Harry Styles showed up as Thanos' brother. That's right. So the character is called Eros, if I'm not mistaken. He is Star Fox. Mm-hmm. That was a pretty big moment. Your thoughts on Mr. Harry Styles? Does he have the chops, by the way, to be in a Marvel movie?
As to the audience in my theater, I can say that they give their testimony that he fits the bill as the heartthrob of the character he's going to be playing. Lots of people were very happy to see him. I thought, secretly in the back of my head, I was wondering if he would flop it. I mean, Harry Styles was totally fine in Dunkirk, but once you put someone in spandex and give him superpowers, anything could really happen. But I feel like he's gonna fit the bill for the part coming up.
Yeah, no, I think so too, and I think he's got like a charisma about him, where it's just like it's an interesting watch. So I want to, and he's very different than Thanos.
Yeah,
so
it's
that'll
gonna
be interesting.
Very interesting how they explore that plot line, which I was previously unaware of.
Pip the Troll, who is quite annoying, but I mean he's supposed to be. He's the one that introduced Star Fox in that mid-credit scene. Patton Oswalt did the voice. And then I do want to mention, and I want your take on the end, because Kit Harington, who we know from GOT, Game of Thrones, he was advertised and he was doing some press for the movie, and then I was like, well, he's barely in this movie. He had like certain specific roles, but not a lot. And then, of course, at the end, wow, we set up a big deal where it looks like he's going to be Black Knight.
I'm not super familiar with the Black Knight, but I'm always an advocate for like niche characters getting their time in the spotlight. I think that's going to be pretty interesting in the casting. I mean, as far as Jon Snow as a Marvel knight, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that works. Oh, and by the way, so there was a voice. We didn't see the other character. There was a voice, and everyone was like, "Who is that? Who's talking?" Well, it's actually been confirmed that the director has gone out to say that the voice was actually Mahershala Ali, and that actor is playing Blade. So yes, Blade has been introduced into the MCU officially with that little voiceover. Right. Did you watch the Wesley Snipes Blade movies?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen them. They're on my list, though. I have a list of horror and supers, and that crosses over.
The reason I say that is because they're actually pretty good. And they were kind of like the first Marvel movie to do well, right? Like I think Marvel did like a Captain America 90s that was just awful, but I think Blade wasn't bad, and that was Wesley Snipes. So that's interesting. So I don't know, Eternals. Here, how do you? By the way, so it had a good opening weekend. Do you think it's going to continue to do well, or do you think it's going to be a steep drop?
I mean, Marvel's always going to do stellar. I'm not sure how the feedback is going to affect this one. I thought that it's going to win a lot of brownie points for like the diversity and the directing and the performances, and I'm really interested to see what their next take will be, if they're going to go out of the box or go back to formula.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the key to see how it continues to do, because it did pretty good. And like I said, for all my little negative talk leading up to the debut, I was interested and I enjoyed it.
Pip didn't ruin it for you?
What's that?
Pip didn't ruin it for you?
No. As long as he's not like Jar Jar Binks annoying, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
We can have a slightly annoying character. Speaking of movies. All right. Josh, I'm a movie guy. I love me this time of year because now we get into award season. And I know people don't really care about award season, but I do, because it's quality stuff. It's quality awards, quality performances. And the one movie that I've got on my radar, and I know a lot of people are talking about it, it's been trending a few times on Twitter here and there, is something called House of Gucci. House of Gucci, starring Lady Gaga. It's directed by Ridley Scott. It's coming out November the 24th. It's also got Adam Driver in there and Jared Leto in maybe his most unrecognizable performance yet, based on what I see in the trailers. I didn't even know it was him. House of Gucci, is this on your radar? Do you care?
Definitely. I'm probably a really good target demographic for this movie, because I don't know anything about fashion, but I do love a good murder mystery, and I don't know how the real life events played out, so I'm going to be going in. I just hope that they don't pull any punches and use that R rating to the best of their ability there.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And you mentioned the murder of Will Smith, and that's what makes it so compelling, is it's based on a true story. There's actually this murder that took place, and the murder, from what we understand, was done by Gaga's character. And she has come out, Lady Gaga, the Academy Award winner, by the way. We know her as a pop star, but she won for her role opposite Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born. She's saying that this movie really affected her mentally. So what is it? She said that she lost touch with reality after spending time in the character for a year and a half. She was one of those method actors, if you will, and she was speaking with this Italian accent for up to 9 months. And so it was really difficult for her to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of Lady Gaga? Because that's pretty intense for someone that's not known as just an actor.
Yeah, it seems like she really pushes in all her chips to play an actual character, which I think is really respectable, because I know a lot of big names that wouldn't really disappear into a role, but she isn't one of them. She's very character focused, and you might be going to see it for Gaga, but she's not going to be her. She's going to be some insane caricature.
Exactly. And Jared Leto, man.
Oh, man.
That guy is just, he's an enigma, if you will. Are you a Jared Leto fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I do get quite a good amount of laughs out of what he pops in as. Like, he's going to be that vampire, that Marvel vampire as well.
Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up.
I'm really curious about the directions he's taken. But
yeah, no, for sure.
He's definitely interesting.
Yeah, so that movie, by the way, I've got it on my radar. She could. I was thinking maybe Gaga could actually take the Oscar again for the role, but I just saw another movie called Spencer. This is with Kristen Stewart. Mm-hmm. Remember from Twilight? She's playing Princess Diana, and I think she's got the Oscar in the bag. And I was one of the people when the casting announcement came out. I was like, no way, Kristen Stewart. She's like a cardboard cutout when you put her on screen. There's no emotion, but she blew me away. I'm eating my words, Kristen. So
she can pull a lot of surprising performances. It just depends on who's directing.
So now, okay, so if we're keeping track of Twilight, Robert Pattinson is Batman, and we saw him in Tenet. We saw him in lots of great movies. He's doing well.
Lighthouse.
Kristen Stewart, probably going to win an Oscar. Taylor Lautner, where is he?
He's not the new Shark Boy when they brought Shark Boy back.
Yeah,
disappointing.
So you got to up your game, Lautner. Your Twilight co-stars are blowing you out of the water. Okay, Josh, I mentioned at the top that you do a lot of stuff on the Mojo Plays channel, all about video games. So right. I've asked you, and I'm not the biggest video game player, so I always like to have someone come on and give recommendations, because I know a lot of our audience does like to play video games, and they're always looking to see what's good, maybe something that's coming up, or maybe something that's already out there. Do you have any for us today?
Yes, I do. So I'm sometimes all video games all the time over on Mojo Plays, and I gotta do my duties, that if you have a Nintendo Switch, you gotta try out Metroid Dread. There's a free demo available, so if you've never touched a Metroid before, but you think jumping around, blasting aliens, and collecting power-ups seems like a good time, then you should really try it out, because it's got a tasteful difficulty that'll leave you feeling satisfied if you feel like games have gotten maybe a bit too easy. I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Tasteful difficulty. They should put that on the
on the header.
They should do that. Any other ones? Any other ones you got?
For a totally random pick, I've been playing Raft. It's on Steam, and it's just about the chillest experience at some points, and then the most hectic at others. You build up a boat, you stop by islands, and you collect materials, and then you fend off a shark that's constantly hunting you. It gets pretty consistent updates, and there's a lot to discover. It's a very interesting game if you're interested in just hitting the open seas and seeing what's out there.
I'm in. That sounds fun to me. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any other ones before we ask the audience?
I guess just something I'm looking forward to. They're going to be coming out with that Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy remaster, and it seems crazy. I'm personally a really big fan of the art style they went with. There's been some discourse as to if it's good enough, but I think it's really interesting that they're capturing the old style of the old GTA games and bringing it back.
Yeah, no, I was literally just talking to someone who was telling me that they also were excited about that. So, All right, well, thanks, Josh. By the way, we want to know what you out there think and what you're looking forward to in the video game world. Drop it in the comments. And of course, House of Gucci, is that on your radar? And Eternals, so divisive. Let us know where you lie in your opinions. Hey, Josh, don't go anywhere. Me and you, we got to go beyond the list. All right, Josh, like I said, it's time to go beyond the list. And this is where we like to pluck out an old top 10 list from the WatchMojo archives and give our personal opinions on it. Hey, did WatchMojo get it right or did they get it wrong? And who are we kidding? They rarely get it wrong. But sometimes they do. And by the way, last week we did top 10 worst super villain castings, okay, with Ricky. We had a lot of fun talking about that. So it's only fair that we give equal billing to the hero. So today I'm asking you to help me go over the top 10 worst superhero castings. And people, by the way, always ask me, they say, Mr. Hollywood, where do I find these videos? Well, there's a link. You can click the link after we chat about it, of course. Let's check it out for yourself. All right, but Josh, don't hold back. I want some hot takes here. And by the way, these are some interesting movies. You like movies that are so bad they're good, right?
Yes, I do. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. Those Asylum movies, they pump out just the best, worst content there is.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line. Okay, let's see where these fall. So these are castings, by the way, that just didn't work for whatever reason. Maybe it was the performance. Maybe they just weren't a good fit. Maybe the movie itself wasn't a good fit for this character and hence the actor as well. Number 10, we've got something interesting here. It's Ray Stevenson. He played Frank Castle, the Punisher, in 2008's Punisher Warzone. I got a feeling people might not even have seen this because it didn't hit theaters. It was a direct-to-DVD video-on-demand release after the Thomas Jane Punisher films. And I personally did see it, and yes, I remember being just meh. It didn't. I don't know. Did you even see this one?
No, I haven't. Punisher's never really grasped me, but this one was not on my radar as far as movies that existed.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was the right fit. I didn't mind Thomas Jane, by the way, when he did his movie. And then the new guy that came on the Netflix Punisher, whose name has totally escaped me, I thought he was pretty great. So
yeah, I like him.
Ray Stevenson, I think got the short end of the stick. I don't think he was a good fit for the role. I think he was maybe a little too awkward and unmemorable, I think is the word I would use.
A little plain.
Punisher is supposed to be super intimidating, and he was maybe a little too stoic. Number 10. Oh, I do remember this one. Jessica Alba took on the iconic role of Sue Storm in Marvel's First Family. That's right. Fantastic Four, The Invisible Woman. It was out in 2005. Of course, there was a sequel that she also reprised her role. Fanboys and fangirls of Marvel hated her portrayal because Sue Storm is supposed to be iconic, brainy, and beautiful. And Alba, they think, just nailed the latter part.
Fantastic Four is always just come in a little under the mark. I don't know what it is about that series trying to tackle movies, but it maybe has some sort of curse on it.
Yeah, we talked about that last week with Ricky about how, for some reason, the characters in this franchise, the Fantastic Four, they really haven't gotten it right. And we talked about Doctor Doom, who showed up on the worst villain castings. And I feel like they deserve so much better. So when Marvel introduces them to the MCU, let's hope they get it right. Do you have anyone that you think should be in the Fantastic Four casting? Because I think a lot of times it comes down to the actors.
I'm really not sure.
I couldn't think of anybody either, but let's hope they get it right. And by the way, I love me some Jessica Alba. I think she's really sweet, but not as Sue Storm.
At least they got Captain America out of that Fantastic Four.
That's right, Chris. That's right, Chris Evans.
Cherry picked that one out.
And by the way, I think he was pretty good cast as Johnny Storm. He was like the cocky, flamboyant guy. He did good. All right, speaking of cocky youngsters, number 8 is Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson. That would be Robin in Batman and Robin. He was also in Batman Forever, of course, the movie before this one. The response that he got was that he was just so whiny and just unlikable. He was also a lot older than the Robin.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, right? Robin, you think like young. He was like, I think at the time of the filming, he was like 30 something.
It gave off college frat boy energy, even though I have a soft spot for the Batman and Robin movies, but it didn't feel like the earnest little sidekick.
No, it didn't. And O'Donnell's, yeah, and his career never really fully recovered from that. I know he started doing some new TV stuff recently, but not a good role. Did you know that in the Tim Burton Batmans, they were going to cast one of the Wayans as Robin? I forget which one it is. There's like a million in that family.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Marlon Wayans. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, but that would have been an interesting choice. But again, not really the Robin you think of. So we'll see. All right, number 7 on this list. All right, we're staying with Batman and Robin. It's George Clooney. George Clooney is Bruce Wayne Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the problem? The movie or the actor?
I don't know. It just has this flavor about it. Like the costumes are all maybe one size too tight, and they're trying to go for
nipples. They had
yeah. I don't know. He did maybe an all right Bruce Wayne. Maybe I'm not sure about Batman with the very rubber shoulders.
No, I think you're onto something. I think his Bruce Wayne was fine. He was the typical, kind of doing the playboy Bruce Wayne caricature. But yeah, as Batman, it was just. But again, maybe it was the movie. Did you say you had a soft spot for those movies?
Yeah, I kind of do. They're they're very familiar to me. I mean, the Arnold Mr. Freeze is just brings a smile to my face.
Okay, well, you might be the one. By the way, Mr. Freeze was on the worst villain casting, Schwarzenegger, but he only showed up at number 5. I could have sworn he would have been 1.
It's so bad it's good. Bat credit card. What can you say?
That's right. He had the bad credit card. What were they thinking? Wow. Okay. Never leave home without it. Nicolas Cage comes in at number 6 as Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider. I didn't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
Nicolas Cage is crazy.
It depends what you want out of your Ghost Rider, I assume. But when I first threw it on, I didn't exactly expect Nick Cage going to hell. But that's what you get. So if that's what you're looking for, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No. They did so. There's 2007 is the one that they're referencing here, and he went and made another one. I forget what year it came out, and I think that one worked a little bit better based on the director that took over and the vibe. But I don't know. I would like to see a new Ghost Rider introduced into the MCU. I think they had one on S.H.I.E.L.D. Remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the actor that played or the story behind that, so I stopped watching after the first season. But he's yet to show up in the movies. Number 5, oh God. Oh man, I remember Seth Rogen taking on the Green Hornet in 2011. Did you see this?
I saw half of it. It didn't really tickle me in the right way. I wasn't a fan. I couldn't get through it personally.
Yeah, because Rogan. You talk about the frat boy humor. That's Knocked Up, Pineapple Express is the movies that he was in. I think prior to doing this, and they were saying he's taking on a superhero, and it was like, what? Really? So he didn't really give that character the gravitas that it needed. Made it more of a joke, and it was more of the same. And I don't know if his acting chops lend itself to superhero.
I'm not sure. The one point I can give it was the action is fun, but it just it didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, did not feel right to me either. Okay, number 4. I saw this, and I know people out there have not because it was very obscure. David Hasselhoff. Yes, the Hoff was Nick Fury. He was Nick Fury in something called Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was a made-for-TV movie in 1998. Yes, just a made-for-TV movie with the Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. And I remember watching it and I remember he looks like Nick Fury. He had the eye patch. And if you compare it with the comic book.
With the comic, yeah.
And then you watch the movie and you're like, no, he should not have done this. They should not have gotten him. But it was played for camp, and it was nothing compared to what we get today.
Definitely. You see a lot of those fan castings a lot of the time where they'll throw up the character and then the actor, and they might look the exact same, like they look like the character, but that doesn't mean that they, got the acting in their heart to play that character.
Yeah, more than just looks. More than just looks, casting directors. All right, Hasselhoff. I mean, God bless him. He gave it a shot, but oh, man. Okay, number 3. We're getting pretty bad. I'm expecting some pretty worse. I haven't disagreed too much. Maybe the Nicolas Cage one, I think, maybe should have been a little higher or not even on the top 10. Number 3, though, can't disagree with this guy, Shaquille O'Neal, as John Henry Jones Steel. The movie was called Steel in 1997. So Michael Jordan had done Space Jam, right? So they're like, oh, basketball players are very popular. We can put them in movies. Let's put Shaquille O'Neal in the Superman franchise film called Steel. And the results were not so good.
Yeah, very goofy. The character design, it just helmet makes his eyes look really close together. I'm not sure. There's something wonky in the translation from paper to costume, but it's pretty silly.
It is incredibly silly. And Shaq, he also did a movie that year, I think, called Kazam or something. I don't, but he hasn't done anything since. And let's keep it that way because his acting was not so good. Not so good. All right, number two. Okay, Halle Berry played Catwoman. The character's name in this movie was a little different than the comics. It was called Patience Phillips. 2004, she came out, and man, that movie got ripped to shreds for some terrible CGI.
Yep.
A terrible script. Halle Berry, who's an Academy Award winner, by the way, won the Razzie, which is the worst acting award. She actually showed up to accept it, which I think is amazing for her to do. She's got a great sense of humor. She's recently, actually, this is kind of timely. Right before Halloween, I think she retweeted something and with the character and the costume, and there was somebody else that was going to do it. But I don't know. I think this is the movie's problem, not necessarily the cast.
Yeah, it's definitely, that movie is hard to get through. I mean, there's no actress on the planet that could go through that script with the cat spirit entering the person and becoming a cat person. It just, there's no saving it.
There's also a basket. Do you remember the basketball scene?
Yes, I do. Where she's dribbling like crazy because cat powers are very vague and can be interpreted into playing basketball really well.
This also came after the Michelle Pfeiffer 1992, where she's Catwoman in the skin tight leather suit with the whip, and that was just so iconic. And then her costume was it was just like, it was very skin tight, but it had like scratch claws on it.
Yeah, it's leather pants and like belts across everywhere.
Yes.
Not so sure.
No. All right. So, okay. That wasn't number 1. That was number 2. So the worst, you ready for this, Josh? Let's do this. The worst superhero casting is Ben Affleck, say it ain't so, as Matt Murdock, Daredevil in the movie Daredevil 2003. I don't know if I agree with this. I think Jennifer Garner, who played Elektra in that same movie and in a spinoff, may have been worse than him. But no, the criticism here is that he kind of phoned it in and gave no new. We know that Affleck can be a good actor, but none of those nuances and character depth were present in this movie. Okay. Is this the worst superhero casting of all time?
I think I'm with you on the Elektra was maybe a much weirder arc, especially on her spin-off movie. It has very similar energy to the Catwoman movie as well. It's just sort of awkward and a little, they don't really behave like people. But as far as Ben Affleck, he tried with what he had and it just came off a little plain maybe, but I don't know about the very, very worst.
What do you think of Affleck as Batman? Because when he got cast as Batman, everyone was like, no, remember Daredevil? And then he came on and people seemed to be for it because he was playing a different type of Batman. He beefed up. I didn't mind it. I think he kind of fit the role okay.
I think his Batman is just too clunky. They just need to do something to, I don't know, tighten it up on him. I know we were just talking about how the Batmans were too tight, but his feels really bulky. Like when he goes into a room, it feels like he knocks everything over and he's punching dudes. And it feels a little awkward, but on the opposite direction. But that's just my opinion.
So you want your Batmans in like movable?
Yeah, I do. Not too
movable.
tight, but not fully like.
Yeah,
It looked like he's in hockey gear.
but he's got to be able to stop a bullet, or like he's like
That's true.
he's not superhuman,
Mm-hmm. But he
right?
can outsmart the bullet.
But the first Batman, the Michael Keaton ones, The Mask, he couldn't turn his head, and there's all these famous things now where they're showing he had to turn his body, and once you see it, you can't not see it in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if they've gotten the Batman suit right yet, although Robert Pattinson's, based on the trailers, that looks like a cool. I think that might be my favorite Batman suit that I've seen, and I want to see the full thing in the movie. But
For sure. It looks like he can move around.
and he
Bonus
did stop,
points.
and he also stopped a bullet in the trailer.
Ah, well, there you go. They're getting closer.
Almost. DC, you gotta call us up. We'll help you out with all that. And I didn't see any bat nipples, which is always a good sign.
Yes.
Yeah. And no nipples here either, because
Always appreciated.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to put this on YouTube. So Josh, thank you so much for joining us here to help me break this all down. I've had an immense amount of fun with you, and we're going to continue the fun with our Mojo Chat of the week. My guest today is a very talented actress who's involved in a whole heck of a lot of projects, and I can't wait to talk about all of them with her. It's Karen Obilom with the Karen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for asking. I'm doing swell.
Listen, we got to ask these days. It's a crazy world we live in, right?
Oh, it is.
Are you in sunny Los Angeles, California?
I am, just for a few more days, and then I'm going back to Austin tomorrow, which is bittersweet because I love Austin, but I'm not ready to leave LA. So yeah, I'm going back there tomorrow. But yeah, I've been in LA for the past 2.5 months. I'm shooting House Party, so yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I heard about this, that they're remaking House Party. This is a movie that I loved. For those that for those that aren't aware, the original came out when? I think it was like 90
like 1997 or something.
Yeah.
Something in the 90s.
So you're part of the remake of House Party. That's so cool.
Yeah. Well, it's a reboot because it's not like the same characters, it's new characters. So it's like a modernized version of House Party. And I was talking to my director, and he was saying he thinks they should make a House Party like every 4 years. I was like, that's a good idea. Because the way that we did it was very much for the culture, and there's going to be so many amazing people in it. And these are people that are, popular now, or modern since the 90s. So it's it's a whole spectrum of people that you may know, your dad may know. Everyone will know somebody in this movie.
You just made I guarantee you just made a lot of people happy to know that a House Party reboot is on the way. Do we, I guess it's still filming. Do we a rough release, or is this, we'll have to.
I don't know yet. They were telling me 4 to 5 months, but you never know in this business.
this crazy business of show. And listen, I mentioned at the top that you are involved in a lot of projects, and I kind of want to touch on some of them. Some of them I know, some of them I don't. So I want to learn all about it. I want to start with one that I definitely know. Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Man, this is such a great show. You are part of DC's kind of universe here. This is for those that don't know, this is based on a comic. There was a team up book, but these characters are different than, say, the Justice League or the Teen Titans, for that matter, which also has a great show. Tell us about Doom Patrol and your particular part.
Well, Doom Patrol is very different from the ones that you just named. They're almost like anti-heroes. They're the opposite of heroes. They're not bad. They're good on the inside. They're just really messed up. They got really intense issues. So that kind of materializes in their superpowers. So it's just like their worst nightmare is pretty much their superpower. And so my character, his name is Ronnie. And she is pretty much the girlfriend to Cyborg, but she's messed up too. She's had a lot gone on in her life. She used to be she used to be pretty much used as like a war machine, and she kind of went rogue. And she was just discharged, and now she's pretty much dying. And she's just trying to get her life together before she goes. And she happens to meet Cyborg along the way, and he kind of gave her something to smile about for once. So yeah, it just kind of goes from there, and it's a cute little love story, a
Yeah,
messed up love story.
no, that's what's great about it. It's you're right. It's a love story in this show that you wouldn't expect it in. Yeah, no, really interesting stuff. So for those that haven't checked out Doom Patrol, do check it out. Hey, have you immersed yourself in that world, or were you a fan of comics or superheroes? Do you have a favorite?
I am obsessed with Marvel. I am, and I love DC too because we all grew up on DC. We all know DC.
You
Marvel's
can
more so.
you can like both.
Yeah, exactly.
Some
And
people
I have that.
some people think they have to choose, right? Especially if you're in a Marvel or DC property, like you gotta stick one. No, no, no. We can love
I
them
know.
all.
I love them all, that's for sure. But Marvel is the one that really got me into superhero comics and all that stuff. DC was just like a part of my life forever. Like we all know Batman, we all know Superman. It's just like, oh yeah, we know those. Then they came out with these new superheroes, and they're funny, and they're silly, and they're handsome. And so like it makes you want to watch, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually a good movie. Like I'm crying right now. Like it's a great story, it's great storytelling. And so I'm just a fan of the Marvel universe, and I would love to be a part of the Marvel universe. So that's definitely, yes, I am.
All
Okay.
right, Marvel, Kevin, call Karen right here.
Hi,
I would love to
Marvel.
see it. Yeah, keep doing it because you're doing good stuff. Doom Patrol is, if there's any indication, you'd be a great fit. I want to move on to something that's a little bit different. We talked a little bit about a love story. You're part of a rom-com, which
Yeah.
admittedly is not my favorite genre, but I know people that love it
Yes.
a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
actually,
it's a thing.
yeah. So Netflix has one, Resort to Love. You're in this one. Hey, is this the one that was executive produced by Alicia Keys?
It is the one. Yes, it is. I've
Did,
yet to meet Alicia, but
ooh,
well, we were in Mauritius, so she had stuff to do back in America. So yeah, we filmed that in Mauritius, and it was the time. I wish you were there. It was incredible. Like we all had the time of our lives. We were just pitching each other, like, are we really in this amazing little country filming a Netflix movie and getting treated like kings and queens every day and getting to eat whatever we want every day. And just the people there were incredible. The island itself is literally dazzling. And I've never used that word before. Like it's dazzling. So yeah, it was produced by Alicia Keys. So
and Jay Farrow's in there, right?
yes,
Oh,
my homie Jay.
he's such a funny guy. Yeah,
He's
people would
hilarious.
know him from Saturday Night Live. I anytime that something pops up on like my socials that shows all his impressions, I have to watch it because he's
Oh
that
yeah.
good. He's that
It's
good at it.
insane. It's insane. I'm like, how are you even managing? Like he could do it on the drop of a hat. Like if you ask him, he'll do it. Well, not every time, no, I'll just ask him. But like he's like, I'm not a clown. But
Obama, go.
like, yeah, but
Eddie
he
Murphy,
can do
go.
it.
Oh, it's
I
so
think he
great.
just has these words that he uses for each one, and then it can take him into that. Or it's like Kanye has a lot thing he does, and it's just like takes him into the Kanye thing. I'm like, that's incredible. It's
No,
really it's a gift.
he's a talented guy. What's the movie about for those maybe myself that would go check out this rom com?
I so Resort to Love, because you're saying you're not a fan of rom com.
Well,
I love certain. No,
not
no, no.
necessarily.
It's you already said it. You already said it. You hate it. Just kidding. But but I'm like the same way. I am a fan of certain rom coms, but people like the really, really, really cheesy ones, and I'm usually not a fan of that. But this one was really, really cheesy, but it also has a bunch of heartfelt, beautiful moments in it that I really enjoyed watching. And I laughed at the silly parts and the cheesy parts. And I love that we can have this movie with people of color, Black people and just have fun and make it light instead of, you know, the usual traumatic things that we have to be in. This was just a light, fun thing to laugh at and feel good. You can watch it several times a week, and it'll make you feel better. So
Well,
yeah,
we
some
could
people were just like, I've watched this 5 times and it was like the first day out. I'm like, oh, okay, great, awesome.
yeah, we could use that right now. Feel good.
Oh
Speaking
yeah.
of a beautiful Black cast, you are in BET's show. And speaking of people can't get enough of it, this one, games people play. Um,
Yes.
Man, this actually took people by storm. The amount of people that got so invested
Oh
in this
yeah.
show. It's juicy. You know,
Yeah.
the storyline. We got a little bit
Very.
of murder intrigue, but it's also, you know, kind
A
of
little bit of
sexy.
everything.
Yeah, no, I really do think it was. And you played a pivotal part in this one. Tell us about this show.
Yeah, okay. So Gates People Plays on BT. My character's name is Nia. She's an aspiring journalist. Her story kind of starts out with her digging deep to get this story that she wasn't supposed to get. But Chris Kensington, who's a huge magazine, I guess, editor, I never actually realized what her role was, but she's a big deal. She noticed me and she flew me out to LA, which is where my best friend Vanessa, who's played by Lauren London, is. And so my story kind of started a snowball effect that kind of intertwined with the murder. And so Nia was able to do her job and be a journalist while getting the inside scoop from, you know, pretty much what was happening with her best friend. And so it was kind of like she was torn between, should I do, am I like making sure my best friend is good because she's also not a witness, but she might be a murderer. You know, we're just not exactly sure. So I'm like torn, like, damn, she looks a little suspicious here, but like this is my story here. Do I want to tell them or do I want to keep the loyalty in my friendship? So yeah, it's just a bunch of twists and turns. You think it's like a who done it,
Uh-huh.
for the most part. And second season, like first season, it wasn't much of an ensemble because we all had our separate things that we were
Uh-huh.
dealing with. But second season, we get to be together more, and I love that because I love my cast.
Yeah. They're all great, by
And
the way. It's a wonderful cast.
yeah, everyone's just so freaking talented.
And easy on
Um,
the
I,
eyes. There's not a not a bad looking one in the bunch,
you
right?
know, I think we could. I think I could stare at them for a couple minutes. But yeah, no, everyone's really beautiful and beautiful on the inside as well, and that's my favorite part about it. And so we got to do a lot more together. And that was crazy. Like we had to get riled. We got a little riled up sometimes. AD had to be like, okay, we're shooting. We are shooting. And I'm like, oh, my bad. Yes. Shut up, shut up. So it was like a big party pretty much all the time. And the writing was incredible. First season we had Vanessa Middleton. This time we have Ruth. And she just puts a whole new, like, almost modern feel to it. And so I'm really excited for people to see what we do with this season because I love it. It's definitely my favorite. It's only two, but it's my favorite.
But hey, listen,
Yeah.
we talked about here. You did a rom-com. You're in this kind of bizarre superhero show. You're in this kind of drama. Uh, these are all different genres
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you, Karen. I mean, do you have a favorite? Is there one that in particular, or is this just the joy of being an actress, or what's it to you?
Well, it all makes me happy. I for so long and when I went to fine art school, I thought that I couldn't do comedy. But I realize now that I actually am very good. But I'm just a funny. I like being funny, and my friends think I'm the funniest person ever. And I'm like, oh, maybe it doesn't translate on camera. But like, I noticed that I always put comedy in the things that are supposed to be dramatic. Sometimes, like that's just natural to me. So I haven't done a lot of comedy because I don't know. I guess I have a dramatic face, but I love comedy. And I really hope my next movie will be a comedy film. So wish me luck. But yeah, I love comedy. But drama is just it's also my bread and butter. Like it's not as hard for me. But comedy, there's a challenge there, but also I know I'm able to do it. And when it happens and when it's good, it feels good. And I also write comedy. Like I wrote a play, a comedic play with my then boyfriend, Daryl Wesley. And it was just so much fun because not only did I get to write it, I got to direct it, co-direct it as well. And also I got to play in it and make people laugh on stage, which is how I started. So yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because yeah, you also have an interest in writing and directing and stuff behind the scenes. I mean that's a lot to take on. Usually one person just kind of focuses on, hey, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be a director. I mean, is this something that you want to continue doing behind the scenes, or is it just let's do all of it?
So I do want to do all of it. Writing is the hardest for me, but I want to tell stories that I feel like haven't been told. I want to tell Black stories. I want to see Black people in lights that people don't usually like see them in. And so that's why it's important to me. If someone can write for me and tell me and I can trust them to write how I feel like it should go, because that'd be great because writing it takes a lot of time. It's very time consuming and also very stressful. But it's so fulfilling and that's why I do it. But yeah, I would like to do it all, but I really, really want to act and direct. Acting will always be there. That will just, there's no way I'm going to be like, no, I want to act. No. But I definitely want to direct. And like, I'm just like fiending for, I'm like, tell them I could direct. I could direct. I'll direct. No problem. Because I just love it. I love seeing a movie come together, especially being an actor, you're by the director all the time. So you kind of see how they work. I think the people that are most equipped to direct are actors. Because they can direct actors and they can feel how actors are feeling. So yeah, that's something I've always wanted to do and I will be doing. I'm just going to claim it. I'm just going to say it, manifest it and pray for it.
Put it out there.
Put it out there. So yeah.
No, absolutely. No, I think, and hey, I think now's the time to get these voices out there and hear these stories and see them on our screens. I think that's beautiful stuff. And I look forward to seeing and hearing your stories. Karen, thank you so much for joining us here today. By the way, I'm sure people are falling in love with you and they want to follow you on Twitter and Instagram. Are you on there? Can they go?
I am. I'm on the little tweet app and on the gram. It's both. Both my handles are Karen Obilom, Karen. Yes, like the meme. Obilum, Obilom as
amazing.
Well,
we'll be bugging you for details on the new house party. At least I will.
Yes.
Karen, thank you so much for helping me pop the culture. Well, that's going to do it for another episode, everybody. My thanks, of course, to Josh and to Karen for joining in on all the fun this week. And as always, thank you for watching and listening. Make sure you drop us a line in the comments if you have anything you want us to chat about. Until next time, I've been Mr. Hollywood, Poppin the Culture.